without further ado, our unbelievable speaker, Foster Freed.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kathy. Are you able to introduce all my speaking guests? Man, that was terrific. You know, I love the fact that people recognize that I'm rich, successful, generous, funny, brilliant, handsome, but no one gives me any credit for how humble I am. Now, that is, it's annoyed me so much that I've decided to write a book to deal with it. It's entitled America's 10 Most Dynamic Leaders of Today and How I Trained the Other 9. Now, I love my Michigan connection. You know, the Acton Institute Award, I was able to introduce John Templeton to get his award at Secondly Hillsdale College. They had a switchboard night. And now, to have the honor to speak in front of you for what you've accomplished, I've won the trifecta, the triple crown of honors in Michigan. So thank you very much. Now, I believe part of our concepts here of what you've proven is how do you change the wordsmithing? How do you change the communication system? Messaging is a major problem. We don't need to change any of our values. We need to articulate them more carefully. And I love the expression, it's not what people say, it's what people hear. And I have to tell you a story. You know, I'm from northern Wisconsin, so we have a lot of Ole Lena stories. So Ole has this Duluth, Minnesota furniture store. He's a bachelor guy, making a ton of money, so he decides, well, I'm gonna basically head to Paris and have a good time. So he heads over there, sits down on the sidewalk at Bay. This beautiful gal walks up, knows no English. He knows no French. He draws a picture of wine glass, and nod, they have some wine. Draws a picture of dinner plate, knife and fork. She nods, they have some dinner together. Sure enough, they wind up in Ole's hotel room. She draws a four-poster bed, puts a $sign above it. Ole said, she does. How'd she know I sold furniture? So our trick is, how do we communicate those values? That we communicate not to women, not to African Americans, not to Hispanics, but if we communicate just the basic American values, it appeals to everybody.
Talk closer to the microphone, please.
Okay, and if we can work better. How's that better? Oh, okay. Now, do you want me to tell the jokes again? The whole idea of working together as all Americans pulling on the same team. And it's exciting to see the diversity of people represented in this room and what you've accomplished by doing that. My favorite story to indicate teamwork is about the young fellow runs his car in the ditch, buries it up to his hubcaps, mud up to his hubcaps, can't get out. Convinces the farmer to put this huge Percheron horse in front to pull him out. Farmer says, pull Bill, nothing happens. Pull Todd, nothing happens. Pull Jim, nothing happens. Pull Homer, pull Slick out, just as easy as can be. Yeah, kids, that's pretty impressive, but why do you have to call your horse 4 names before you do anything? Well, you see, son, Homer's blind. If he thought he's the only one pulling, he wouldn't give a damn. So the values that we all represent, I think are so important. And I remember Rahm Emanuel got in front of the national cameras and said, Chick-fil-A values are not Chicago values. Yeah. Well, I think everybody in this room ought to shout out, Chick-fil-A values are American values. So one of the things I think we need to do, more important than anything else, is restore and resuscitate those Christian values on which our country was based. If we look at Harry Truman, in 1946, December 24, said, in this great country of ours has been proven the fundamental unity between Christianity and democracy. He declared America a Christian country and read the Bible 5 times before he became president. 1933, 13 years or number of years earlier, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, 4 times elected president of the United States, said, we cannot take into account the progress we've made as a nation without giving due credit to the role the Bible has played in the formation of our republic. In fact, when we've been our finest and most prosperous is when we most closely adhere to its principles. Close quote. Jack Kennedy, the President of the United States, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That's a basic message that Jesus brought to all of us. Died to self. We were set free not to serve our own interests. We were set free to serve. Galatians 5:13, if you want to look it up. So if we look at all these important reasons, now in a group like this, maybe half of you or a certain percentage of you have asked the Lord to be chair and board of your life or some permutation of that. There's another half that probably have not. And so it's the other half I want to speak to, because I want to demonstrate why it's in your interest as a non-believer to make sure we resuscitate these Christian values because of what it means to society in general. Example, hate sin but love the sinner. How many 8-year-old kids punch your little 5-year-old sister and the father says, you are a bad, bad kid. You keep that up, you're going to wind up at reform school, and then knock it off. Instead of, Johnny, you're the greatest kid on the planet. I love you so much, but what you did was wrong, and I'm really disappointed. I have to punish you for it. Secondly, Galatians 5:22, the fruits of Spirit are peace, patience, kindness, joy, self-control. Against these there is no law. Let's think about self-control for a minute. I no longer can say to Lynn, my wife, you made me angry. Then she's in control of my emotions. I will decide through self-control if I get angry or get offended. So there's nothing anybody in this room can ever say to me that could offend me, because I've decided not to be offended. Now, I was giving this to 150 Tea Party leaders in Texas, and some got back and said, you're a liberal. I said, now that offends me. That's how I'm talking about my Wyoming. I grew up in northern Wisconsin and lived in Wyoming since 1992. In Wyoming, we have a key for success. 3 things. Good dog, good horse, good woman. I got all 3. And where's my woman, Lynn? Are you around here someplace? Where'd she go? Lynn, stand up and say hi. And then we have Matthew Taylor, my aide, and his Ashley, his wife too. So thank you for being here too, Ashley and Matthew. If we look at some other concepts in the Bible, Philippians 4:8, whatever is good, whatever is true, whatever is right, whatever is noble, dwell on these things. God's exhortation to be a positive thinker. Anybody who's a non-believer or anybody in America, if we embrace those ideas, it's our chance to make our country that shining city on the hill. You know, if you look at an airliner and you get on, they say, you know, if the oxygen deploys, put it on your face first before you help your children. We have to take that message to our country. If we want to save the rest of the world from the poverty and the lack of freedom and the horrors that some of the people have to go through around the world, we have to get our act together and make our country what it can be. And that's what I'm excited to see what you are beginning to accomplish here in Michigan to get us on that street.
Yes.
They once asked, there's a little parable of God and a businessman looking over this dump where little kids are struggling to find food in it. And the businessman says to God, how could you allow that to happen? And God says, how could you? We can change the world. You know, God wants us to partner with Him to solve all these problems. And this is what we're all about. So if you think of how many people today as we sit here are experiencing Good Fridays around the country, and they need to know that there's an Easter. For everything that happens to us negatively, there's typically an Easter. Our success is built on using failure as our stepping stone. The difference between perfectionism and excellence is a key theme that helps build our business. Perfectionism abhors error, tries to eradicate it and destroy it. Perfectionism embraces error, builds on it, transforms it. So we have to help our young people know that as they stub their toe, that's part of life. We grow as people when we're in those trenches. One of my least favorite Bible verses, again, to go back to the reason why we have to resuscitate these values, is James 1 verse 2. Consider all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various adversities, because it'll build your endurance, which will complete your faith, so you'll be complete and whole, lacking in nothing. In Japan, you screw up, you throw yourself on a sword. Here we get to start over. Every day is a new beginning. And that's the joy of the message that we have to share with our fellow Americans so we get everybody on the same page. And one of my more favorite ones in Philippians, always consider other people more important than yourself. So think about that for a minute. So let me migrate here a little bit to taking these messages that are so important to our country and getting back to the idea of wordsmithing. The seems like we as Republicans have a real challenge because we have a tendency to speak to the brain and to the intellect, and the Democrats seem to speak to the heart and the emotions. We need to learn from them, and we must do this. So I'm trying to champion the idea of let's abandon the term, quote, we want to protect the Second Amendment, close quote. Let's abandon the term, we want to protect the right to bear arms, close quote. Instead, let's use this, quote, we want to preserve the right to protect our families, close quote. The more we can talk to people's emotions and let them know what's at stake, we have a better chance. But as Republicans, we have to be concerned about people more than concerned about policy. And we need to know that as a Christian society, our whole responsibility is to care for people. People say, is health care a right? We don't even know that we need to go there because health care is responsibility. Another treasure of the heritage that our Christian values bring is the Good Samaritan story. The Jews and the Samaritans did not like each other. The Jew is injured, the Good Samaritan says, you're injured, I'll take you to the inn, gives the inn money, innkeeper money, says it's not enough, when I get back, I'll give you some more. Now we're transitioning to a system where the Good Samaritan sees the injured Jew and says, oh, I'm really upset that you're injured, my friend. I'll meet you at the inn, there's a government worker 2 hours behind me, he'll pick you up and take you there. That's not what we want. We want to maintain the whole notion that we are our brothers and keepers. And so look how you took the wordsmithing of right to work to freedom to work. That's just amazing. What just simple word changes and how the Democrats and the left have such a skill for phrasing things in such a way that sounds so good that turn out to be so wrong. The Affordable Care Act. I mean, we are now having prices skyrocket. There's more people losing health care. There's a vast difference between health care and health insurance. Before, people, they didn't have health insurance, but they had health care. Association of American Retired People say like $38 billion a year is written off in unpaid claims because people say, look, I can't pay, and the hospital negotiates with you. And so we need to make sure that everybody knows, well before Obamacare came along, we had universal health care. The George Bush administration doubled the number of public health clinics. You cannot be denied to go to the emergency room. So again, getting back to wordsmithing and sharing the message, there's two things we need to do better. One is to get out the information that the media will not bring out. Example, and this is a disclosure, I'm an investment daily caller. I help fund Tucker Carlson and his partner Neil Patel. So they uncovered this, I have to say, conflict of interest. But anyway, they uncovered the fact that April of 2011, Nancy Pelosi's district, which is like 1/10 of 1% of the geography of the United States, Nancy Pelosi's district got 20% of the health care waivers granted that month. Now this is Banana Republic type stuff. And how do we allow that to get most people that you know out there probably don't know that. And then we have the second idea, in addition to putting information that people don't know that the media has to highlight, second, we have to do a better job of confronting the lies that are out there. In the debate, Governor Romney says, in the last 7 years, oil production has faltered. And Obama comes back and says, it's up. But then Romney says it's up because of what happened on private lands, federal lands, it's down. What did Obama say? That's a lie. He said that's not true. He told a lie that's not true. It is true. In fact, the federal lands declined 40% in gas production since 1907, or since 2007, and private lands went up 33%. Now, if we don't do a better job of finding out what the lies are and confronting them, we don't deserve to win. So we have to confront the lies, expose them, and get it back out, and also alert the friends of ours who have no clue how they're being seduced into all these wonderful programs. You know the old expression, give a man a fish, a few for a day. Teach a man to fish, you get rid of him for the whole weekend. So the government is always trying to come up with these wonderful things about, 99 weeks of unemployment, Section 8 housing, free medical care, food stamps. And no wonder people, the expression, if you give a man a fish, if you give a man all these, he's a little Democrat the rest of his life. So we have to discourage people, the whole notion that they're not being well served by being kept on the government plantation, and that they have a better life if they have a job which allows them to get off of food stamps. And that's the mission that we're all about, is how do we encourage people to have the joy of work. Work is what gives us satisfaction, earned success. And to have people getting checks just on nothing is not only a bad thing for society, but it's demeaning to people. People need to work to have that sense of accomplishment. So think of how much joy you've had by serving others. And we need to help other people see that that's a better way to get out and pull the wagon rather than just ride the wagon. So the government in its attempts, they try hard. But I love to tell one story that indicates how they don't quite get it right. There's a story about Phil comes home late at night, he's been drinking too much. Falls down, comes in the front door, breaks the glass he's got in the back pocket, so he drops his britches, he looks in the mirror, sure enough, he's got cuts all over his butt. So he gets some Band-Aids, sneaks into bed without waking up his wife next morning, says, "You were drunk or a skunk last night." So, "Well, why do you say that? Why do you say that?" "Well, it wasn't because you left the front door open. And it wasn't because of all that broken glass at the foot of the steps. And it wasn't because all those drip of blood on my brand new carpet. It was because of the 8 Band-Aids stuck to the hallway mirror." Now, Warren asked me to come out. I said, "Well, why do you want me to come out?" Remember this old joke about, hey, Foster, do you believe in free speech? He said, "Yeah, well, because I want you to give one." Everybody's heard that. But so I have a policy, sometimes when I offer to speak, I don't even want to give a free speech, but I would like to leave a little donation as I leave of $5,000 to your group. Norman said, "I'd just like you to come and encourage us, inspire us, and keep us moving so we can take this ground we gain and move on further." Well, I'll tell you the reason I came. It wasn't to inspire you, it was to be inspired. I get, excuse me, but I get pretty choked up when I see what you've done. The reason I get a little emotional about that is because I've really enjoyed the American dream in spades. And if you look at the crossing in Delaware, only 1 battalion of the 3 battalions Washington had made it across that river that snowing cold and chilly night. And when they got on the other shore, they realized that the 9 miles they had to carry these cannons to had 2 ravines that weren't in the map. And then he looks down, and you all heard the story. He sees blood in the snow. Because some of the guys didn't have shoes, they wrapped their rags. So from that beginning, you saw how that turned around. He was down like 2,500 troops. And that turned it for us. We wouldn't be here today if it weren't for that. Then there's Joshua Chamberlain, a young guy who says, "I'm going to join the Civil War, 1883. This is kind of be fun and adventure quick." Well, it didn't turn out to be that way. And suddenly he's given 200 deserters from Maine to hold the one flank in the Battle of Gettysburg, the 2nd day of the war, of that battle. And he says, "What am I going to say to these guys? There's 200 deserters. They don't want to be here." So he thought, and he drew a line in the ground. And he said, "From here to the Pacific is freedom." And we're not fighting for the dirt. We're fighting for the opportunity to become who you want to be. It doesn't depend on who your father was or royalty. You can become what you want. And we're not fighting for the dirt, we're fighting for each other. Because of that inspiration he gave that day, those guys held that flank with miraculous fighting, which influenced the history of that battle, which influenced the history of the war, which influenced the history of the nation, which influenced the history of the world. And I look at you, and you're standing on the shoulders of those men. And I love you for it.